Today we are going to recap Oklahoma versus Kansas State, and all that's coming up after the bump.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Considering the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. As you know, I got this book out. It's called Let It Bang. It's the #1 new release in shooting and hunting. I'd appreciate it if you buy it. And I got a comic book coming out. It's called Blood Country. And you can get a sneak peek of it. 8-page comic, primo. Awesome. Artist is Derek Hefner. I wrote the story. It's killer. Go to the Patreon website. Give $5. You can read it for free. I got physical copies that I'm going to sell for about $10. So, gotta figure out how to set up a shop for that so that I can ship those out and get those to people. But let's just start by saying my argument to every college football fan ever is I have Kyler Murray and you don't. OU has Kyler Murray and you don't. Kyler Murray was responsible for 326 yards of offense in the first half of Oklahoma versus Kansas State. And I gotta harp on this for a bit because it's not just the numbers, right? I'm a numbers guy. Follow me on Twitter. You know that I love to tweet out what I think are cool statistics. Because at one point, Oklahoma had scored 24 points on 24 plays. Started slack during the end of the first half. Had 36 plays, only scored 34 points. I'm joking. I mean, seriously. What is going on with this offense? But the thing that I also would like to point your attention to when you're watching Oklahoma play football, this 2018 offensive team, is the ball movement, which sounds odd to say, and I'm also asking you to do something that college football aficionados say not to do. Watch the ball. Watch how quickly the ball moves, especially when it leaves Kyler Murray's hands. Everybody on this offense can run. And this is another reason why I want Joel Klatt to come on the channel, is because we are of one mind on these kinds of things. Like, he's picking up on some of the things that are overlooked in what Oklahoma does, and that's why the broadcast is A1+. You put Joel Klatt's knowledge with Gus Johnson's penchant for names and wit, and you got a primo broadcast. But one of the things that Joel Klatt pointed out was how Oklahoma uses space. Like, the spacing is always there, and it's naturally there. There are clearouts where tight ends like Grant Calcaterra just run into the space that's empty. Or the way that the offense can just move organically on the fly. You can actually see Kyler Murray point guarding plays as Kansas State has great coverage, man. Like, just pushing out Trey Sermon saying, yo, release, you're open, and flipping it to him. Or Carson Meyer seeing that, hey, maybe there's space out there that I can break out into after I've been pass protecting this whole time. And then Kyler Murray hits him. And those kinds of plays are everywhere. But in the meantime, when he doesn't have to do that, and when that's not going on, you have CeeDee Lamb getting 3 targets, 3 catches, 103 yards in the first quarter. Matter of fact, let me just recap the first quarter for you. These are all things that happened in the first quarter. Oklahoma ran 17 offensive plays. Oklahoma scored 17 points. I mentioned CeeDee Lamb, but I got to do it again. He had 3 catches for 100 yards in the first quarter. At one point during the first quarter, Kyler Murray was on pace to throw 36 passes, complete 28 of them for 656 yards with 8 touchdowns. That's how efficient he was in the first quarter. The offense averaged 12.3 yards per play. Trey Sermon, who came back from what we thought was a really bad sprained ankle, started the game, carried the ball 6 times, averaged 7.7 yards per clip. He looks like a man that wants his job back. And of course, the big one for the defense, Buki might have killed a guy. Like, did you see Buki become a missile? I mean, now it looks like Buki was going to not come back into the game after he just destroyed Kansas State tight end. That's a guy he was giving up 70 pounds for. Not only did he destroy him with a completely legal hit, but the ball came loose, and upon, replay, looked like that should have been a fumble and not an incomplete pass. And the defense, for its part, it's pretty good. Now, on third down conversions, Kansas State was 4 of 8 on third down, and the defense still can't stop people on 4th and short. But we did see some other folks in there. We saw some nice play out of folks like Justin Broyles. We saw 5-man fronts. We saw 4-man fronts. We saw a lot of 4-2. We saw some 4-3, depending on how you categorize a 4-3. We saw guys fly into the football. We saw how important Kenneth Murray Jr. is to the defense, because it's not that Deshaun White's bad. It's that you can notice when K9 was not on the field. And there was one series in particular where I saw Caleb Kelly and Deshaun White in the middle of the defense, and wanted to see what that looked like. You know what it looked like? Didn't look too good. Now, Skylar Thompson made something out of nothing, but you can tell why Curtis Bolton and Kenneth Murray Jr. are the heart and soul of this defense and why it just runs better when they're in it. You also saw some outstanding play from Robert Barnes. You saw great play from Trey Brown. You saw Parnell Motley coming up to make tackles. And then we got a dose of beer ball toward the end of the half, where Jordan Parker, my goodness, comes up with the fumble recovery after Isaiah Zuber put it on the ground. 34 points in one half football. Yo, man, I thought this game was going to be a lot tighter, and in the first half, it just wasn't. The talent, the athleticism, the play calling, there were a couple gadget plays that should have been going for 6. One in particular, my goodness, Nick Basquine on the swing pass had Charleston Rambo wide open. Rambo hit him in the hands. He dropped it. Thank goodness Rambo didn't get Abdul Adams, because it didn't look like he was going to be able to come back from that. And when you got a name like Charleston Rambo, first team all name, you got to make those kinds of catches. And he did bounce back. He had a nice little drag route reception. But the story is Kyler Murray. And if not for this dude who has one letter short of tuna down there in Tuscaloosa, Heisman winner would be at Oklahoma. Even as it is, don't slip, Tua. Don't go to sleep. All right? Don't go to sleep. Because Kyler Murray is doing the deed down here at Oklahoma. And we're getting into the part of the season where this is just what Oklahoma does. And in the first half, my goodness, OU football, stand up. We run in the Big 12. And then in the second half, you thought Oklahoma was going to get up off the gas. You thought the Sooners were going to slow down. But that ain't what we do here. It's Owen Field. We don't take no prisoners on Owen Field. We leave bodies. Bodies. Oklahoma destroying folks. It's not that Kennedy Brooks went 86 yards. It's that he went 86 yards and shook somebody on the way. The last 5 yards of his 86-yard run, he shook a dude like a bowl full of jello at a point where most folks are tired. Kennedy Brooks, no. Had 5 carries, 94 yards, because he doesn't settle for anything less than gash plays. CeeDee Lamb had 4 catches on the day, had 160 yards receiving. Kyler Murray, again, 352 yards passing, 19-24 passing. Just ridiculous. But as ridiculous as the offense is, and you've heard me talk about that for like 7 minutes now, my goodness, the defense. All right? This is a defense that the starters have given up 27 points in 2 games. The starters have averaged 13.5 points per game since my man, Ruffin McNeil, has become the defense coordinator. And you've seen the kids fly to the football. You've seen guys like Ronnie Perkins get starts, Trey Brown get starts, Robert Barnes get starts. And now Jalen Redmond is starting to come on. I mean, it's coming together at a time when we want it to come together, when we need it to come together. All while everybody on the offense continues to do what the offense does, which is drop 50. I'm telling you, man, this is the team. Like, the loss to Texas, no matter how you want to scrub it up right now, it's the best loss in college football. It really is, because everybody else nationally is buying into the Texas hype. Everybody nationally is thinking that Texas is going to be there at the end come Big 12 championship. They're not paying attention to what Iowa State did to Texas Tech. They're not paying attention to what Oklahoma is doing since the loss to Texas and the new coordinator. They're all focusing on Tua and Alabama. They were watching Florida and Georgia. They were watching Northwestern stop a mud hole in Wisconsin. They're watching Iowa talking about dark horse coming out of that side of the conference in the Big Ten title game. They're thinking that Michigan is going to be there at the end. They're thinking that Notre Dame is going to continue to go through the season undefeated. They're thinking that Clemson is not going to Clemson by the end of this season. Look, Oklahoma is right where it needs to be. Lincoln Riley's play calling, his quarterback play, his running backs, his wide receivers, his offensive line. Now the defense. Defense gave up just over 200 yards total to Kansas State, to a man who has made his bones out scheming other coaches. Sorcerer Snyder took himself and his brick-throwing orcs and whooped up on Oklahoma State, skull-dragged them, then came to Norman and got thrown around like a rag doll in Avengers. Puny God. That is what time it is at Oklahoma. We got 1 month of college football left, and it looks like it's gonna end with Oklahoma playing the Big 12 title game in December. That's what time it is. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.